everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me today is former offensive lineman for the Indianapolis Colts and a few other teams, Donald Thomas. Donald, welcome to the show, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come on here and give us your thoughts, share some of your history, and possibly get into the game this upcoming weekend.
Man, thanks for having me. I'm excited to get into it all and talk about the Colts and what the season has in store, and a little bit about me and the stories and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to be here. So thank you.
Absolutely. So before we get into it, I just want to remind everybody that BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, NFL, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember, use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Heading into this upcoming weekend, the Indianapolis Colts and Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts are walking in this game completely different than what Jacksonville is. They're walking in off a kind of a high, really. They got into the playoffs, which many didn't expect to happen, won a game, right? Trevor Lawrence right now is looked upon as kind of one of the golden boy faces right now of the NFL. If you talk to a lot of the media and stuff of that nature, whereas the Indianapolis Colts, they're coming off one of the worst records that they've had in recent memories, right? And a lot of changes, especially on the defensive side of things. Plus, of course, a brand new young man sitting behind center that a lot of people, yes, granted, there's a lot of expectations out of this young man, but you got to remember he's also still young as well. So there's not a whole lot of expectations coming for the Colts this season, whereas there's a ton of expectations coming from Jacksonville, right?
Correct. Yep. And it's one is a high pressure environment and one is no pressure, but there's still pressure there because of the simple fact that at the end of the day, they still want to win football games. Jacksonville, and you hit the nail on the head, right, with Trevor Lawrence, like the golden boy. Why? And I've always liked him from college on. And I was, with quarterbacks, you just never know what you're going to get, right? Like it's either they're great in college or not good in the league. They're great in college, they're good in the league, or they're great and they're great, right? There's no kind of in between kind of deal. But with him, like he had a rough rookie season, and then he really made that jump like last year, and he really like turned some heads. Like he really was like I was impressed by it and kind of happy for him at the same time because I'm like, all right, cool. He has so much promise coming out, and then he kind of was like, and then all of a sudden he's like, all right, he figured it out, right? He made that jump, and I think that's what the Colts fans are gonna have to give. Richardson, like you got to give him that grace, right? You got to give him the grace to get the feel of the game at this level, because preseason is one thing, and once you get to week one, it is a whole nother animal. It is not the same game. It's you have the butterflies in preseason. You just want to get out in the field. You got an NFL jersey. It's everything you dreamed of. And now it's like, we don't care about that. Like, we're coming to take your head off, and this is for real. The record is real. If we lose a game, you learn from it. No. We lose a game, we lost the game, right? And so, it's a lot. I mean, honestly, there's still a lot of pressure on this game for the Colts because at the end of the day, no matter how much expectation they have or they're saying they have in their locker room, they're expecting to win the division. Like, there's no coach that's coming in and going to say, okay, we got a brand new rookie quarterback. We're just going to hope for the best. You guys go out there and play, and we'll just, if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. But we just want to get to year 2 with him. Like, no. So like, this is a divisional game. This is Jacksonville has been Jacksonville's kind of had Indy's number the past couple of seasons. Like for whatever reason it is, like all of a sudden Indy cannot beat Jacksonville. So it's one of those deals where it's like divisional game. We know that we've had trouble with these guys in the past. And on the other side, Jacksonville knows divisional game. We've been beating these guys in the past, but the thing is this, though, if Jacksonville comes in relying or trying to rely on last year and think that anyone really cares about last year and they're just going to roll over teams so they made to the playoffs, that's where Jacksonville's downfall is going to be. And that's where the Colts, if they have the right game plan and don't try to do too much with their brand new quarterback, they have a chance to really win this game. I believe it, but they have to come out and they have to play hard from the jump. And if Jacksonville relies on last year, which they very well could, it's a different ballgame.
Wow. A lot of people are looking at possibly the thing that Jacksonville will probably do a lot of that the Colts won't be able to slow down as much because they have such inexperience, the Colts do, at the secondary, defensive secondary. And then Jacksonville, after, getting Ridley, now they got Ridley and Kirk and the tight end. They expect, you're seeing it all over social media that you're looking – Trevor Lawrence is going to throw 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. You're hearing this a lot from a lot of different media aspects. But these guys out here, yes, they don't have experience, but they're still professional football players, right? I mean, we're not throwing out high schoolers out there to defend, professional wide receivers. I've been to training camp. I sat on the sidelines, when I've watched these guys play snap after snap after snap of team reps and individuals and things. Now, as you said, preseason training camp, it's much different, and it's a different team. You're practicing against different, you're playing against different people. But these guys look like they've been doing this for years. Well, guess what? They have. Right? Maybe not at a professional level, but they've been doing this for years. So I just kind of look at it and go, just because you're inexperienced doesn't mean that you're bad, right? I mean, that's how I look at it.
No, I mean, there's going to be inexperienced guys all over the field, especially early in the season, guys that get a chance to step up and play. The determining factor is the simple fact of is the moment too big for him? Does he understand the game plan? Right? Does he understand the game plan? Is he going to be, disciplined with his eyes, get his, make the right reads, don't keep his eyes in the backfield, don't be fooled, because that's what Jacksonville is going to try to key on, right? Young guys in secondary, getting the right eyes caught in the backfield. We get a pass over on top of them with the play action. It's going to come down to coaching, right? These coaches understand what they have in the backfield. And so they're going to try to create mismatches everywhere, right? Crossing routes. They know if they're going to be in man or zone, what's going to beat that, right? If it's going to be play action, can we suck in suck up the linebackers, get, pop some shots over top of them? Who can cover our tight end? If we get them one-on-one with the linebacker, that might be a win. You know what I'm saying? It's just certain different matchups is what is the key when you're trying to expose young players, right? When you try to put a young player in a bad spot, and then not to jump ahead because I know we're going to get to this, but that's exactly what Jacksonville's going to try to do to the Colts, right? And they're going to give the Colts some looks on defense they've never seen before. And quite frankly, if they can confuse the offensive line, they can get to the quarterback, right? You want to be able to do that. You want to create packages where it looks like there's 7 in the box, but realistically there's 8 and they're blitzing. Are they going to do things up front to confuse them, right? Give them different looks up front, different blitzes with outside linebackers, something crazy they've never seen before. And so it's only to cause confusion. And once they can kind of get, Richardson rattled, I think that's where the game can make a turn for the worse. And then once that happens, now what? The run, now we have to rely on him passing the ball because they're behind by 2 scores. You don't want him to have to rely on passing the ball first game of the year. And so that's what I think Jacksonville's looking to do is confuse early, create a lot of pressure, because as soon as you can get him rattled and you get that offensive line off their game a little bit and you get a couple hits on them, it changes the ball game tremendously.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think offensively for the Indianapolis Colts, you've touched on it multiple times. It's going to be that cohesive play from the offensive line. that will drive the force of the Indianapolis Colts offense, not just this game, but for the entire season, right? You got to be able to protect that young quarterback back there, and you got to be able to open up lanes in the run game to kind of take the pressure off that running back when you need to. So what are your thoughts about the Indianapolis Colts offense and especially the offensive line that you've seen so far from preseason and stuff of that nature?
Yeah, I think, up front, it's been a work in progress for the past few years, in my opinion, with Nelson and those guys. I mean, you've got to really, find that right fit of five guys that really work together, and they're going to be there for a couple years, because the main thing, that the reason why they're having such problems, in my opinion, is it's a lot of moving parts. Like, constantly, like there's so many different line changes throughout the year. And some are due to injuries, but some are due to them just kind of shuffling the deck around. And so what you don't want this year, and what I hope those guys up front understand, is you've got a big task ahead of you. You're going to have some big time asks to fulfill when it comes to, picking up these blitzes, understanding that if you can't pick up the blitz, you can't get yards in the run game, at least 3 to 4 yards per run, you're in for a long game of just them sitting back, playing physical, coming downhill, running some blitzes at you. But I do feel like at the end of the day, they are professional players, and they understand that they have a job to do, and they all understand what's at stake. And honestly, if the offensive line coach is not telling them, hey, if we don't do this, our job gets harder, I guarantee he's telling them that, right? So I guarantee they understand that. I think that the offense, they can't rely on this. It's not going to be a situation like a Lamar Jackson, right, where Lamar takes off and he runs, and they're going to be running, QB power with them and stuff like that. I don't see that being the case. I think their quarterback is a genetic freak when it comes to size, speed, strength, and all the above. He checks all the boxes. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that you really want him just, being a Cam Newton where he's just taking off and running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a great few years, and then he just falls off a cliff. I don't think that's the plan for this guy. So I think that, the main thing is just for them to really have a balanced offense, but they got to be able to run the ball. And then without having Jonathan Taylor, that kind of hurts them as well in the run game, right? That would have taken off so much pressure on the young fella. So losing that guy for right now doesn't doesn't sweeten the deal at all. And so it puts a lot of pressure on other guys, honestly. And so it's going to put pressure on the pass game. But is the pass game really going to be there if we can't hold up, right? Or if he just can't calm his nerves? And honestly, I would like to see Minshew probably start the season off, but I get it. It's not my call.
That's a call that was incredibly debated, especially during preseason when Minshew was like 93% completion percentage, on the year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do understand the argument of get this man on the field, get this young man on the field, get him some game experience, get him better, and then that aspect as well. But it's kind of, which way do you want to go, or you want to go with the better chance to win right away, or do you want to, build this young man from week one on? A lot of people want to talk about, he's not getting experience holding a clipboard. Well, I mean, he does. Mental reps are very, very, very important, especially at the professional level. But I get that, the on-field experience is something entirely different, right? I assume.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. And if you look at certain situations of young quarterbacks that actually, sat behind a veteran guy for a year or two, as opposed to, certain quarterbacks that just rookies that jump right into the fire, the success rate goes down tremendously when they jump right into the fire. I tell people all the time, to be a professional quarterback in the NFL is the hardest job in sports. I will debate it. I will, to the cows come home. You can't tell me differently. There's so much you have to know. There's so many quick split decisions you have to be able to make, and to make the right one with, guys 300-some pounds trying to freaking take your head off every play, and you're being confused. You think you see this coverage and it's not. It's a lot. And so that alone, we haven't even thrown a football yet, right? So we're coming to line of scrimmage, we're making calls, we're making checks, we're trying to read defense coverages, trying to make sure we're seeing what the line stunts are going to do, see blitzes, you know what I'm saying? Like make sure that you still put your running back or your receiver in motion or tight end. It's a lot, right? So you're asking a lot from a guy who, you know, systematically in college was very productive. And I'm just saying a quarterback you draft high, right? Was very productive because the game isn't as intricate in college as it is in the league, right? Guys just aren't as good at every position like they are in the league, and so there's room for error more in college than there is, you know, in the pros, and we all know that. But you know, I would have liked to seen him, you know, get a chance to just kind of, if Minshew's not doing great by week 6 or by the bye week or something like that, now we can make it. Now we can create some more media talk, and we can, okay, now we're making a change. Throw the young fella in if that's the case, but I just feel like Indy's looking for another luck so fast, and they're just ready to find their quarterback and get back to the glory days of Peyton and all that kind of stuff, that sometimes some situations we rush. And so like when you look at Love and I don't mean to talk about other teams, but you look at Love in Green Bay, they had a blueprint because it worked out, right? Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers came, he sat under him, then he took over, and then he won Super Bowl. Then you draft Love, and then he sits under him, and then it's okay. We can let, you know, Rodgers go because we have confidence in this guy now. I know that's not the same situation, but I would like to have seen him get molded a little bit more, because it's sink or swim, and he's either, you know, he'll be here for a while and everyone loves him, or you're ready for him to pack up and get out of town. And I would hate to see that for the young kid when he has so much potential.
Yeah, that is one thing that you have to pay attention to when it comes to especially the fan base. Now, obviously, fans don't run the team. Okay, Mr. Jim Irsay out there, he's the one. You know, he's the one fully in charge, and then, you know, you got your general manager and then your coaches and all of that. Fans don't run the team, so. If that was the case, some of the moves that would happen every offseason would be mind-blowing. Right?
I don't even know why. I don't even know what the team would look like if that were to happen.
Right. Even myself. I mean, every individual person would be like, oh, there's some things here I wouldn't mind doing.
Right.
But how do you see this upcoming game going between the Colts and the Jags play out, and maybe a score prediction?
So I see the Jags really trying to jump on top of the Colts quick and early. I think that Trevor Lawrence comes out and he slings the ball like he picked up from last year. I feel like he is professional enough and understands the game enough and has the right people around him that it won't be a big drop-off in the action as far as his production. I see them trying to get after the Colts early. If I was them, if that was the game plan, if I'm a coordinator, I'm the D coordinator, I'm the D-line coach, I'm the linebackers coach, like our main objective is to confuse this kid, get him rattled, get the offensive line, having to move around a little bit, cause some distractions, and jump on them early and try to, you know, make them make some bad throws and get some interceptions or a couple of turnovers. And I kind of see it coming down to the Colts have to understand that, and they have to stay within inside their game plan. If they have a 50-50 game plan of pass and run, stick with it. Don't put this kid in a bind, right? I get it that we want to win the game. It's a divisional game. But we also don't want to kill his confidence early too and make it to where you rattle him for the whole season, right? Make him feel comfortable. Stick with the game plan. If you tell him we're going to run these plays to open up the game, and then Jacksonville comes out and scores a touchdown in the first play, we don't deviate from the game plan. Make him feel comfortable. If this is going to be your guy, make him feel like he's your guy, and that you're not going to put him in a bad spot. But the Colts do have a hard task just because it's a divisional game. Jacksonville has had their number for a few seasons now, which I really don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand how all of a sudden Jacksonville has become like the Colt killer. It just is mind blowing to me. Just because Jacksonville's
been like 9 seasons since the Indianapolis Colts have won in Jacksonville. Now, granted, this is in Indy, but that's crazy stat.
I think I read it was like 17-5. The Colts have the record against Jacksonville, wins against them at home. but I feel like those last 5 have been within the last 6-7 years. So with those 5 losses, so it's been crazy to see the shift. But I feel like it's going to be a hard-nosed game. I hope the first half is going to tell the tale of it being competitive, and then I don't want to see it being a runaway deal at the end of the game. But if the Colts can come out and surprise some people, they have to play physical. They got to get the run game going. They have got to get the run game going. They've got to figure out if it's going to be outside or inside. If it's going to be counter sweeps, inside zone, whatever it is. What is their bread and butter for the year? What is their strong suit? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to figure out, like, if you're an outside run team, all right, do you have the proper personnel for that? With these new running backs that you got called up now instead of Jonathan Taylor, is it stretching the field, or is it running downhill? What is the right personnel that we have up front to get that job done? We got big burly guys. Outside zone probably isn't going to be it, right? Because those guys can't run, they can't move as fast. So now we got to pound the ball inside. So what kind of team are we? And then we got to figure out who's our number one receiver. Guys got to step up. I don't know who's going to be. Every year it's like we want it to be so-and-so. And then it's like, well, so-and-so's the number 2 receiver on every other team, but he's a 1 here. So we got to find a guy that's going to step up and be the number 1 receiver. Guys got to block and make our quarterback feel comfortable. And we'll be in the game.
And one more thing I want to add to that is the Shane Steichen factor. A lot of people can go back and look at, say, well, you could look at the film from the Eagles. And I'm like, not really, because he was drawing up plays and calling plays for that specific group of individuals, right? Now, you might have an idea of he likes calling these types of plays, but they're completely different people on the Indianapolis Colts. And he's talked about how he likes to draw up plays and get things so that, the right plays for the right people on the field at the time. So no one's really knows exactly what to expect from a Shane Steichen led Indianapolis Colts offense yet. And that could play into a massive favor week 1 against Jacksonville. And who knows, that in and itself could really help kind of give the Colts a little bit of boost and possibly win. I think I think Jacksonville's favored by 5, right? Or something of that nature coming into this.
It really isn't much. What the line is a 1-score game essentially. So I mean, exactly. I think they realize that you got to. And the thing is with the coordinators, what makes a coordinator successful is understanding, like, just because like you can have a certain style. No one's saying like change your whole style of play calls up, but understand, like, you go to a new team, you have a brand new personnel, and you can't call everything that you called last year, the previous years with these guys here. Like, and if he understands that, then he'll be all right. I mean, but it's easier said than done, because some guys are like, we're running this. I run this. This is how I call this. And I'm like, you don't have the guys for that. Like, you don't have the guys for that. Like, you can't call that because your guys can't run that, right? And so, I feel like it's more prevalent on offense than it is on defense. Where defense, you can get guys, you can call coverage, and if this guy can't, get it done like cover 2, if safety can't play cover 2, we can find another safety play cover 2. But you can't, if you're building a team you got big, powerful guys up front that want to just run the ball downhill, and you're an outside zone stretch kind of coordinator, you don't have another guy on your roster that they can fit and fill in on the offensive line to get that 5 technique or that 3 technique reached, and those linebackers ran down because you didn't set your roster up for that. So that play calls out the window. If you don't realize that, then you're in for world trouble.
Absolutely. I got a feeling that we, with preseason being as vanilla as it was, and you even you saw some RPOs and stuff of that nature, not a lot, but kind of your basic vanilla RPOs from the Indianapolis Colts when all 3 quarterbacks were out there that they have on the roster. I think you're going to see a lot more designed RPOs and things of that nature walking into this game. One of the things that I really love, a stat that a lot of people don't look at, time to throw. From the point that ball is snapped to the point that ball leaves the quarterback's hands, 1.7 seconds was Anthony Richardson's average, which is amazingly fast, especially for a rookie. That shows you that he understands what's going on. He can read a defense and he can get through his progression rather quickly, right? because he's also not throwing to the first guy. He's not staring him down all the time. You're watching him go through his progression quickly and hitting his guy. That tells me there's a very strong mental makeup with this young man. And I feel like you could probably continue to allow him to run that RPO during the season early on. And I think that will help as well. You're talking about Jacksonville possibly, bringing some pressure, giving some different looks, hiding coverages, things of that nature. Running an RPO, that kind of stalls a defense a little bit, right? So that would also, running a lot of RPO, and that if you trust that quarterback to do that, that will help take the pressure off of, keep them from sending pressure early, freeze those linebackers or safeties or whatever. And that could slow the game down quite a bit, really, for the Colts. And I think kind of level the playing field in that aspect, as opposed to, Jacksonville having the high-powered offense. You slow it down. We've seen it multiple times where the Colts would slow a game down, especially against Kansas City. It's weird. Indianapolis, Kansas City, Indianapolis wins. It seemed the last they've won the last 3 out of 4 times. 3 out of the 4 games that the Colts have played against Patrick Mahomes, they beat him, right? And they've kept him under 21 points, which is what? Granted, different teams, different personnel, different everything, but I like the idea of how they've been doing it, right? The whole slowing the game down thing. And I think the RPO, and if you trust Anthony Richardson enough to put him out there week 1, then you got to trust him to make the right reads on the RPO at that time, from what he sees on the defense pre-snap or even during snap, right? To make the right call on whether to hand it off or pass it or something of that nature. And I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see this Sunday what kind of product that this new look Colts offense is going to put on the field this year.
Yeah.
So, we haven't seen it yet. This will be the first opportunity to see. Donald, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Do you have a score prediction for me?
I'm saying I'm going to go 28-14 Jacksonville.
28-14. I think I'm going to go Indy. I'm going to go with the upset this time. This one, week 1 is weird. And I've been telling people a lot. Week 1 is always weird. Teams are still trying to figure themselves out and things of that nature. I think Indy can pull the upset, but don't look too deep into that. I think the Colts win. I think it's going to be 24-17 Indy. But don't think that this is going to start a string of wins down the road. All right. Like I said, week 1 is a weird situation in the NFL.
It is. It really is. Week 1 could be an extension of, preseason, in the sense of you're still trying to figure out personnel. The roster's still not set. You got guys that are here right now and they're gone next week because you're just waiting to see who you shuffle the deck on other teams. So it's I mean, like I said, if this was week 8, I'm like 28-14 with confidence, right? But I'm just saying, like statistically, with everything that I've said this whole session about what their game plan is and what they have to establish and all that, I think they get 2 scores, and that's take the positive stuff out of it. They get 2 scores, great. But I just think that, Jacksonville has too much cooked up with too much of a veteran team where it matters that they're really going to take advantage of them.
If I take week 1 out of the equation and I just go by what I see on the roster, what I see as coaches, 31-17 Jacksonville. That's what I've got. Right. But I'm thinking that, Jacksonville doesn't have a lot of tape. They don't know what, is coming at them at all. Right. For the Colts. And I think that's going to play very heavily in the favor of the Colts. And I think the Colts can pull this out and a win.
When you put it like that, some trick plays in there, some stuff they haven't seen. Because like I said, like you said, there's no tape on them. Kind of like a Colorado situation with Deion.
Exactly.
TCU had 0 tape, so they're just like out there just blind and
they're reacting rather than acting.
Reacting afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just So I'm with you on that. It makes sense.
All right. Well, thanks again. Hope to talk to you again sometime in the future, hopefully soon. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?